is Georgia Rose, and I am in the Soul Space at my home studio tonight. And we've had 25,000 glitches already in the last 5 minutes. So, so I don't know what to tell you guys. Hopefully, you are seeing the show. So I am going to just share the show like we always do, and hopefully, there's some people out there watching. So let me share. We're going to share now. Great, did that. And if you guys want to share the show, that would be so cool. Hey, Laureen. Hey, Laura. Hi, Liz. So we do have people out here. That's good. I am just all over the place today. That's what happens. I thought I planned really well. And then obviously I didn't plan well enough because we were using a different program to do the show remotely that I wasn't prepared for. And so what happened was I had the wrong program. So now we're in, okay? Just give me 1 second. Just got to share show. I'm a little bit frazzled right now. I had a whole PowerPoint thing I was going to be sharing my screen with, and I no can do. So I'm just going to wing it tonight. All right? Okay. So I'm going to share my show. Hey, Bonnie, how are you doing? I haven't seen Bonnie in a while. Bonnie usually does Reiki with me every month with my breast cancer group. So that's really nice. Okay, so I am going to start my show. All right. So I think I'm good now. Just got to be able to see my comments. So, okay. There they are. There are my comments. I got Bonnie, Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Hey, everybody. I feel like I keep locking up, but I hope not. So now I want to talk a little bit about the astrology because I'm actually going to tie it in to anxiety for all of us. Right? I have a really big delay on this screen. Kind of distracting. All right. So we've got a lot of fixed energy coming in this week. And by fixed energy, I mean we've got Taurus energy where we've got a new moon coming in on Friday. And we've got a lot of planets in Taurus. We also have Mars changing signs and going into Leo this week at the end of the week, which is also fixed fire. Taurus, of course, is fixed earth. And we've got Jupiter going into Taurus this week, which is going to stay there until May of 2024. And Jupiter expands everything, so that's expanding that fixed earth energy. And then if that isn't enough, we have Pluto headed back to Capricorn, which is also an earth sign. So we've got a lot of energy in play this week. I wish I had my graphics to show you, but I'll do a separate video so you can see the charts because we're not going to do that tonight. But a lot of fixed energy. So what's going to happen is today you probably felt pretty good. Today was actually a really good day, especially for creativity. And then come Tuesday and later in the week, things are going to feel like they came to a grinding halt. And we're almost going to feel like we have a slow motion. It's going to be almost like everything's going. And then all of a sudden we've got just like the train stops. It's an energy that really makes us feel like things are slowed down and not going anywhere. And it can be very frustrating, which is why I wanted to bring anxiety in a little bit. But we've got something happening in the sky this week that's known as a T-square. And that T-square is actually going to involve Neptune. I'm sorry, it's going to involve Pluto. Mars going into Leo. Picture them across the sky from each other like this. I'm going to try to do my own graphics. I don't know my graphics. Like this. And then right on a T is Jupiter, which just went into that Taurus. So we've got an actual T-square in the sky. And a T-square is a very opposing energy, which normally can cause a little bit of conflict, depending on what the planets are. But now, because we have all this fixed type of energy that's just not moving, right? Now we've got the lion, that fixed fire. We've got the bull, Taurus, that fixed earth. And then we've got other earth with Capricorn in the chart and Pluto being there, who's very slow moving because Pluto's in retrograde. So we've got all this fixed energy. And so when this T-square comes in on the 19th, 20th, around that new moon, it's going to just make everything be like, "Arr!" And what you'll find is people will really be stuck in their ways. They won't want to move anything forward. They're going to become very immobile, almost frozen in things. Decisions are going to be really hard to make. It's going to be hard to move the energy forward. And then if you take the nodes of the moon, which we usually use, I use them as astrology, not all astrologers do, that's directly across the sky now from Jupiter. So what happens is in the sky by the end of the week, we actually have what's called a grand cross. And this particular grand cross is in Earth. So everything is very fixed. It's almost like the planets are intersected in this way. And we've got Pluto up here, we've got Mars down here in opposition. And Pluto and Mars in opposition is a very tough energy. It's a warlike energy. And then we've got the nodes of the moon and Jupiter across from each other. Jupiter actually in conjunction with the north node in opposition to the south node. So it creates what's known as an intersection in the sky. Well, think about if you are, and the new moon is in Taurus too, so we've got all this fixed earth energy. So think about the idea of an intersection in the sky, right? A cross intersection. And we've got Pluto and Mars and Jupiter in the north node and the south node. All this opposing energy that just is moving, it's just stuck there. Think about how you feel when you come to an intersection and you come to that four-way stop sign or that four-way traffic light, right? And everyone's there, and you're in your car and you're looking through the windshield and you're seeing somebody there and somebody here and somebody here. And sometimes that gives us a little bit of anxiety, right? Because it's like a little immediately we have a feeling of like, oh, what if, what should, who should, what should, how is this going to work? Where should I go? Maybe you have some hesitation. Maybe you're like really extra careful. We're cautious, right? But sometimes when things intersect in our life and we have problems, right? The energy causes a cross of conflict and we immediately go into anxiety. It's normal. It's almost like our primitive senses take over, right? But now picture yourself at that same intersection. And instead of being at the wheel and looking through the windshield and be like, okay, who's going first? Am I supposed to go first? They go first. What if I start to go and somebody else starts to go and they crash into me? How am I going to make this decision? You know, I have a lot of stress here. There's a lot of choices to make. I have to worry about this guy. I have to worry about that guy. I have to worry about this guy. That's like life, right? But now, what if you weren't in front of the intersection at the wheel? What if you were above it? And you could see clearly this 4 paths, right? You would have a completely different perspective of what that is. That's the energy this week, and that's what a grand cross is. Grand crosses, intersections, choices in our lives, big decisions where we have a lot of choices to make. What they really require is us to step out of too much reality, right? Too much thinking. Drop down into our heart what the desire is, what's the goal. But mostly what they ask us to do is rise above it. Instead of thinking with our reptilian brain and our 3D way of working things, what if we stepped out of that and looked from above, our higher consciousness, our higher level of being? Then the intersection doesn't look so scary. If I showed you a picture of that same intersection, the same cross, grand cross in the sky, right, that we have with Pluto, who is the transformation, planet of transformation, Mars, which is our ambition, can also be our aggression. The South Node, which is our past, the things we need to let go of. The North Node, which is where we should be headed, and Jupiter, which expands all this energy. If we're in it, it's really turbulent and chaotic, and we don't know which way to go first, and we have to worry about all these people, and are they gonna move when I move? And if I move this way, will they move that way? And I call it the Rubik's Cube of life. But if we looked at that same situation from above and saw each person as a lane in the highway, and they have their lane, and I have my lane, and they have this lane, and this person's this person, but I'm just me, you would clearly see your path in that intersection, in that chaotic energy. Because our higher self and our higher consciousness always knows the solution. Because we go into a place of compassion, we go into a place of understanding, of love, and then what happens is we're able to see clearly. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do, and I've been trying to do this, and I'm not always successful, but I really do try a lot, is whenever I'm faced with that cross piece, right, the crosshairs of life, whenever I'm faced with the decision, the chaos, the three lanes coming at me at once, and what am I going to do? I don't stay in it. I take some time to rise above it and look at it, and I have a completely different perspective. And in those moments when we maybe focus on breath and look at what this really is, and we're not reactive, right? We're always reactive when we're through the windshield of the car. We're always reactive there. What if we were flying above it, right? What if we're always reactive when we're in the argument, when we're in the chaos, when we're in the conflict. But what if we rose above it and we saw it from an observation deck, and we saw it as observers, and we saw it as not so much a three-dimensional energy, but from a higher perspective? Then we can deal with it. Then it's unpackable. Then it's resolvable because we're not reacting from that white knuckling of the steering wheel, right? How am I going to navigate this? How am I going to get through this? This is a little bit tricky here. From a higher perspective, we have more confidence in ourselves. We believe in ourselves better. And that brings me to kind of what I want to talk about with anxiety. I've had anxiety all my life. Um, I've had no anxiety at some times in my life and a lot of anxiety other times. We can pinpoint it and you can go to therapy and talk about it. But when I look back at my 50 plus years of anxiety, to me, anxiety always comes. Thank you for the beautiful hearts. Um, Anxiety always comes when I'm disconnected. And we get disconnected when we're looking through the windshield of the car and we're wondering about all the planes coming at us and we're in it and it's so turbulent and it's so churning. And so that's anxiety. So what happens when you're prone to anxiety is you kind of have to not live in that driver's seat that's panicking. You've got to find a higher perch to deal with life from. And that's where spirituality came in for me. I find when I look back on the times in my life when I was most disconnected, and of course, there was times in my life that caused this. I had PTSD as a child because of where I lived, and a lot of things that were trauma in the body. But at the end of the day, all of those things, although I know they're real, and there's great books which I'll give at the end of the show that you can read that really makes it understood for you. But at the end of the day, anxiety is disconnection. When we take a moment and just center, and we're afraid to do that a lot of times. When we're really anxious, we're like afraid to even sit in a chair and be quiet. We got to be in constant motion, you know. But it's not good motion. It's not motion that's expelling the anxiety and expelling the energy and transmuting the energy. It's motion that's keeping us in the frenetic pace. And so we have to come to a place where we're not doing that any longer. And the way we do that is to connect with ourselves. And sometimes, like I said, that's scary. In the beginning, it's scary. In the beginning, I remember being in my 20s and, trying to even sit in a chair in a quiet place with no noise or anything. And I would just immediately have anxiety attack. That's how prone I was to the stimulus of anxiety. It's a road. It's a long road. And believe me, I feel for everybody who suffers. But you have to do it because the only way through it is through it. You can't run from it. The more you run, the more anxious you're going to be. The more you try and squash it and pretend you're really good, you're actually creating more anxiety because it makes us very anxious when we can't be our true self. It's going to make you very anxious not to be able to be who you really are. And that's a big part of why we're all anxious, that disconnection, right? So just try and practice what ever way. Am I in and out? Someone said I'm in and out. I hope not, because this is an important show for me. If I'm in and out, somebody else tell me. I might have to move everything. So anxiety is definitely disconnection, and everyone's giving me a thumbs up. So we're good. And so maybe I should just move my mic closer, maybe. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Bobby, are you in the studio? Can you hear me?
For a second, we lost you, but now you're good. I don't know what you pressed, but you're good to go.
You can hear me because they're saying they can't hear me.
No, now Now we can hear you, but we did lose you for like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
You're good
Sorry,
now.
guys. Okay,
I'll let you know.
thanks. So getting back to the anxiety. So the disconnection is what really makes me anxious. So like I decided somewhere around, I guess I was around 30, and I decided instead of being anxious all the time about what people wanted me to say and what I should be doing, I decided I'm just gonna say what I need to say. And I took my page and that uncomfortable 5 minutes where maybe they didn't agree with me or maybe they wanted to go into some kind of an argument was actually better than having like weeks and years of like having to go into situations that were so uncomfortable that I couldn't like say anything. So find your voice. I know a lot of us out there are anxious because we are squashing the goal. So that's the first advice I'm going to give you is find your voice and a lot of your anxiety will go away. We get so anxious to say what we mean and mean what we say. And do it in a healthy way. You know, don't like yell, scream, and get Rick. Just say things like, I'm really uncomfortable with this. I want to tell you this. I'm saying this with love, but I have to get this off my chest. And keep your voice at a certain level. You know, you don't want to make yourself more anxious. But that's the first thing I found being authentic, and that took years. It took years to really find my authenticity. But that's when the anxiety started to level off. The other thing that really helped me with anxiety was finding a sense of purpose. When we're anxious, we stay home, we isolate, we don't want to do anything, we're afraid to do things, we start to like close in the box, right? It becomes smaller and smaller. But you have to have a sense of purpose. When you have a sense of self and you become a little bit more active and you're not inactive, you'd be surprised how much the anxiety lessens because when we don't have any activity in our life or something purposeful, whether that's, you know, maybe even just watching a yoga on YouTube if you're not able to go out of the house that day, or maybe it's just a ritual that you have every day, going out with your dog or whatever it might be, you have to have some sense of purpose because if you don't, you're going to ruminate about the anxiety and it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And then it becomes a self-worth issue. And that's where a lot of anxiety stems from. It's that self-worth. It's that unworthiness. It's that, why do I feel like this? Everyone else is able to go to the party. Everyone else is able to go to the restaurant. Everyone else, you know, can fly on an airplane and I can't. There must be really something wrong with me. And that's like the worst thing that you can do because if you are in a sense of place where every day you wake up, even if it's making your bed, there's actually a book out that says make my bed or something like that, make my bed or make your bed every day. Look it up. That's a great book for anxiety. You have to do something purposeful that makes you feel like you are worthwhile and doing something. When I was very, very, very anxiety ridden, this is back when I was a teenager, I was a child, a long period of time when I actually did not go to regular school and I was homeschooled because of an anxiety issue. And I remember reading. I used to read a lot, and I would give myself goals of like, I'm going to read a book a week, or I'm going to read like 5 chapters of this book by Friday. And just that little thing made me feel like I had a purpose, a goal, a meaning. And when I accomplished it, I just, you know, I was like 12 or 13. And when I accomplished it, it made me feel like, oh, see, I can do something. So you know what that thing will be for you. All I can tell you is you need that sense of worthiness, no matter how it comes. I recently had an injury over the winter time. I had very, very bad, I don't know how to say it, trichomoniasis bursitis in both hips. And I actually had fluid on my hips. It was very frightening. And I had a really hard time walking. I could not do stairs. And it finally passed. I had physical therapy and I did all this healing work and it passed. But I remember I became really housebound. I haven't seen friends even now because I've been in training for something else. But what I started to do was I would go out of the house and I would like walk literally like 2 houses and have to go home. So every day I tried to just add a little bit to it. And it was really, I'm embarrassed almost to tell you guys this because it was almost like, okay, I'm going to add 5 steps today. That's how bad it was for like about 6 weeks. And I'm not one to go on Facebook or social media and tell you ailments and things like that. I feel it like gives more energy to the wound. So literally just doing that made me feel like, okay, I'm gonna get well. Look, I walked 2 houses today, right? I didn't have so much anxiety because I was in action. So definitely take some kind of action. Another thing about anxiety is you've got to break through the resistance. Anxiety is disconnection, and when we're in anxiety, we resist everything. And I know I still have a tendency to do that. I'm very much afraid of doctors and things. I hate having to go. I'm a cancer survivor, so you can only imagine how I got through that. I used to tell my gynecologist when I was younger, I used to say, okay, well, if I get pregnant, because I was trying it one time, you're going to have to knock me out for 18 years and wake me up when the kid's 18. It was a joke we used to have. So, it never worked out for me anyway. I probably would have gladly loved a child, but I used to have anxiety about anything medical. And I remember every time, like I would have even, a strep throat or something, and I would be very frightened about medications. And I would go to the doctor and they'd be like, okay, we're going to give you this antibiotic and this. No, I don't want it. And I'd have like this horrible sore throat. I'd be like, no, I don't want it. I'm not taking anything. Like when you're in anxiety, you have restriction and resistance. You resist everything because you're in a fear mode. So you have to try to break through that resistance. One of the ways I found of doing that, and for some of you who don't use this yet, it may sound very simplistic, but I urge you to really try it because for those of us who have tried it and use it, it works. Breath work. I even do that now for the first time in my entire life. Just recently, I was able to have a dental procedure done just by actually being in the chair and not resisting, not tensing up the body, and breathing and relaxing and letting it flow. And I use those types of breath work type of strategies when I was undergoing treatment for cancer 12 years ago. And it really helps because the more we resist and the more we restrict the physical of our body and we tense up, the worse it is for us. When we relax and flow, and again, higher consciousness, higher perspective, give ourselves over to a higher power. Angels, Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, crystals, old crystals in your hands if you have to go through anything like that. It really does help because we're not in the body so much. And just like, I wish I had my slides, but I'll do another video with them. I'll do a short for you guys. But just like we had this intersection, like I described, right? Your car comes to that intersection. You're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do here? Energy comes into the body through our energy lines. And if you think of standing up, if you have in some place you can stand up, I can't get the camera angle now, and putting your arms out and your legs out like a big, beautiful star, right? We have star pose in yoga. Energy comes through the body like that, like an intersection, and the head also. We are, as we live, 5-pointed stars. And that's how the energy comes into our body. So next time you're feeling anxious, try to actually think about, just close your eyes for a few minutes and think about where are the subtle sensations coming from in your body? Where are they coming in from? Are you feeling anxiety in the shoulders? Are you feeling anxiety in your crown of your head? Are your legs your issue? Is it the center of your body? Do you feel anxiety in the heart space? Do you feel it in your solar plexus or your lower root chakra? Start to identify what energy line that physicality is coming in through. Because that's going to give you a really big clue as to how to heal your anxiety. For instance, when I was going through my divorce, my lower chakras, like I used to think I was going to get diarrhea constantly. I had pain like in my lower abdomen all the time. And then I went to some chakra healers and I took some chakra training classes. And I realized it's my root chakra. It's my stability. My life is unstable right now. I don't know what's going to be happening. And it's all coming out in that area of my body. I dropped weight. I actually, went down so low. The doctor was like, "You've got to eat," that kind of stuff, because it was all my digestive tract and root chakra. And while I wasn't like actually getting diarrhea or any of those things, I felt like that because it was so out of balance. Same thing with people with heart conditions. There's something in the heart chakra. So think about where anxiety is coming into your body as that 5-pointed star. Is the energy coming up into your lower abdomen, into your digestion, your bathroom muscles, from your legs and the roots of the earth? Is it coming up from your crown chakra? Does your mind race? Where is the energy coming in? just like when you're at that intersection, you've got 4 lanes coming at you, right? Where is the energy bombarding you? Does things seem louder? Is it coming into the ears? Do your fingers get numb? And when you start to think about that, now your anxiety, you can actually attach it to the physical body. And when you come above that, right, you're going to be the observer, go into your higher power, maybe prayer or chanting or listening to music or meditation or yoga or just a walk in the park. And when you're not so anxious, you're going to think about that. And you're going to be like, why do I always get that like shaky hands? Like, where's that from? Maybe it's because you're afraid to grasp something. Maybe you're afraid to reach out and grasp the truth, or maybe you're afraid to grasp love. So it will come to you. It may sound a little abstract now, but you'll be surprised. You take some time, connect, go into your observation tower, right? Look at the situation from above, really observe it. You're going to find exactly what the root cause is. And you may have many root causes. I know there are many different root causes throughout my life that created my anxiety. I'll give you one example that's more recent. Um, I recently was I train agents. I'm a realtor and I train agents for my job. And now I'm fine doing that. I don't have anxiety about that at all. But the place I worked before now, I changed companies right before COVID. I used to always have to do in-person classes with quite a large amount of people. And I also would have to present at quarterly meetings where there were like 300 agents or something. And I never got super nervous at the quarterly meetings where there were 300 agents. And I always got nervous when I had to teach a class of 30 agents. And I was like, this is really weird. I got to look at this. What am I really feeling? Like, why am I anxious to go into my office and teach a class, but I'm not anxious to take the stage and, give my thing? And I realized after I really thought about it, and I went to the body and I said, okay, where is the energy coming in from? And it was totally my solar plexus. And the solar plexus oftentimes is where we feel judgment. And so in a smaller group, I felt vulnerable to judgment. But in a bigger group, when it was happy and it was an event and people were joyous and more, relaxed, I didn't feel that. And so once I identified it, I could work through it and I wasn't anxious to give those smaller classes anymore. So you see how we want to, ruminate about the anxiety. And for, a few weeks, I was like, why am I so nervous about this? What's wrong with me? It's a little class. I do this all the time, blah, 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 blah. Until I identified it, went above it to observe it, and then I could reason it away. Sometimes I still do get a little bit nervous, but now I know what it is. And that awareness, that lightning bolt that shows us where things are, allows us the space for healing, the space to overcome it. And, there's always other things. You can never really fully do these things alone. You're going to probably need to maybe get some healing work or do some processes or do something so that your brain, you're helping it to be rewired, because anxiety really does need the brain to be rewired. We hold trauma in our body, etc. But those are some things that really, really helped me. Another thing that really helped me was when you think about that intersection, right? And I keep using that analogy because that's really the way I see the energy of anxiety. It's like a cross section, and we're like in the middle, like, oh my God, it's all coming at me. So what I kind of, in my mind, that I'm working on a workshop now to do for everybody, is I kind of think of it as you have to realize you need to move the energy. Like when you're in that intersection, if all 4 cars never move, then it will always stay that way, and you're just simply in a status quo. You're never going to get anywhere. You're not going to move anywhere. You're not going to get to do your errands. You're not going to get to do anything, right? Well, when we're at those crossroads of life, when the anxiety stagnates us, restricts us, and restrains us, we're not moving forward with our life. And the one thing you guys know, I believe, and why I founded the Zen Kuda community, is because I believe we are all here to live our divine potential. Anxiety stops us from doing that, but we can't help it sometimes, right? So think about that intersection being a crossroads of stagnation. And I know you guys don't want to be stagnant. I know I don't. I want to move forward, enjoy my life, have fun, do things, be in love, etc. But think of it as something is blocked in those four ways. Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Because there's something that's keeping you blocked and disconnecting you from being into that full potential of who you are. That's anxiety. And only you can decipher which lane of traffic has got you blocked. So think about that and realize that in order to get rid of that block, you've got to go into the battle and walk through it to see what it is. And, make sure you have a support system, something that keeps you comfortable. For me, writing is that. I write, and it really, after I write, I feel cleansed, um, even if no one's ever going to read it. Also, nature is very important for me when I'm in anxiety. When I go into nature and I can ground in the earth and I can see beautiful things, it reminds me that there's something higher than this intersection in my life. There's something higher than my anxiety. I am not my anxiety. I am part of a beautiful world that an energy created far more beautiful than anything I can ever imagine. So I'm going to take my space in that. And you get your fighting mode on a little bit. So you can't resist it away. You can't pretend it's not here. You've got to work through it, but find from whence it's coming. And that's what really helped me a lot. If anybody has any questions, if you want to put them in the chat, I'll certainly answer them. I wanted to do this tonight because with that Grand Cross coming in, this is energy we're all challenged. We're all going to be in anxiety a little bit. It's different for all of us. But what that really is, it's a classroom. It's a place where we can go to actually learn how to overcome it. It's like maybe you've had a cold for like the fifth time in your life. And now it's the fifth time you've had this silly cold and you get it every season. And now you know how to take care of it. You know what it is. It's not so scary anymore. And now I'm gonna, do my ginger tea or I'm gonna do my hot lemon. You have a solution. If you keep having anxiety over the same things and you keep squashing it down, you don't find your remedy. And there's medicine in that anxiety. There's medicine in there. You just have to be brave enough to do it. And when I look at the sky and the planets right now, Pluto is the energy of transformation. Pluto is also fear because Pluto lets us go down and bring it up. It's like a volcano. The South Node, which is a Scorpio, more fixed energy. That is also our insecurities coming to the surface. We've got Jupiter expanding that because it wants to show us that North Node, the way home, the arc of our development to get to where we're supposed to be. And then we're given this cross section, the next intersection, the next highway is Leo, Mars and Leo, which is fire. But we have the bravery to meet ourselves at that crossroads, at that intersection, where we're that lion. We're not going to be fearful. We're going to conquer the jungle because the South Node is showing us what it is. Pluto is showing us how to transform it. Jupiter is expanding the energy, and the North Node is showing us our way home. So are you going to do your work, find the medicine, and get to the remedy? Or are we all going to be like, oh my God, I'm not going out tonight. I feel really scared. I'm not going to fly. That plane's going to fall out of the sky. Right? We could be little chicken littles, or we could start living the life we're meant to live. And so if you want any other info, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychologist, but I can tell you I'm probably an expert on two things in life, grief and anxiety, and maybe real estate. So maybe they're all interrelated. I don't know. Too funny. So I'm going to pull some cards for you guys because I know you tune in for that. But I'm just going to go back in the comments really quickly to see if anybody has any question. If anybody has anything specific about anxiety, what I can tell you, and I don't usually say this, I'm saying it, I'm putting it out there, okay? There was a time in my life when I didn't go out of the house. This was when I was, a kid, like a teenager. I was so steeped in PTSD, anxiety from things that had happened in my childhood that I had a whole year of my life, I wouldn't even go to the mailbox. I was homeschooled. I literally did not step a toe out the front door. And look at me today. I'm sticking cameras in my face. I am very successful in my career. I am outgoing. I'm healthy. I am trying to show people how I got here. And so there is solutions to your anxiety. And if you ever want to talk, just DM me. Okay. So I'm going to go to cards. And the first one I'm going to do is Laura Alvino. And Marilyn says she feels like a homebody more now than ever. I believe it's anxiety and stress. I do go out in nature and that helps. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of us in this energy, Marilyn. The universe is getting very chaotic, but there's a difference between avoiding it because we want to keep ourselves kind of safe. And there's a difference between being afraid to do the things we're meant to do, and only you know what those things are. I live a somewhat monastic life because I don't like to go out in a lot of, hi, Marianne. I don't like to, thank you, Anita. I don't like to go out in chaos. So if I think a situation is going to be very anxiety provoking or not really great to be in, a negative situation, I avoid them. But I don't allow anxiety to stop me from doing this spiritual work or doing my career work or doing places where I know I'm meant to go to fill the potential that I have. So that's how I kind of do it. It's not an easy road. It's very hard. I was really lucky, during that time in my life as a teenager, I was very lucky to have what I call some angels that came into my life. And then later on in life, much later on in life, when I had a lot of reversals and devastation, a lot of losses in the middle of my life, I again had an army of angels who came in and saved me. So believe me, I know what it's like to hit rock bottom. And I know what it's like to be at the top in some fabulous situations. Marianne says she's afraid to walk around the block. So what I'm going to say to you, Marianne, is try and center yourself and realize that you're never alone. You have a higher power. Angels are always with you. And what I was going to say is don't think about walking around the block. Walk around the yard first. And then maybe you go out your front door and you walk to the edge of your property. Maybe that's enough for that day. Maybe that's enough for a couple of days. Then walk to the house next door and come back. You can do it the way you need to do it. That's the way it was meant to be done. There's medicine in you doing that. Don't avoid the medicine because it's going to help. So I'm going to go back. And I said I was going to pick a card for Laura Alvino first. I'm working with soul cards tonight. And this is the card that came out, Laura. And if you look at this card, it's got this beautiful head, all this light around it, and all the light around the face and the shoulders. This to me really shows illumination, Laura, and that you are going to really, I think, get a lot of aha moments in the next little while, I would say at least to the end of this month sometime. And I feel like you're very blessed. I feel like even if you are going through challenge now, all this light around this makes me feel like you're not going to stay in that challenge very long. Definitely meditate, whatever that is for you. Go into some quiet time because I think you've got some really beautiful energy coming in. And I know that feeling, Marianne said that too much has happened to her. I know that feeling, and I know what it's like to be in loss and grief. And what I can tell you is that gratitude is the only thing that takes us out of grief. And so maybe if you, just every day work in the garden a little bit, or every day, I used to lay on my front lawn and watch the clouds go by and play music in my ear pods. And it would just make me feel glad to just even be able to breathe, when I was going through my health issues. And so, but you have to do something that makes you out of the mindset of too much has happened to me and in the mindset of, oh, wait, I do have more life to live. And it's hard to get there, but you can do it. And I know you can, because I know you're brave enough. I'm going to pick a card for you, Marianne. And everyone in the Zen Kuna community, send up some hearts for Marianne tonight. Give her some love. That'll hopefully propel her forward. We'd love to do that. So send her up some hearts. And this card is for Marianne. What have I got for you tonight, Marianne? Oh my God, you guys saw me shuffle, or maybe you heard me shuffle. It's the same card that I just got for Laura Alvino. So again, blessings coming in. There is light there. You just have to look up to see it. Like I said, you're in the intersection. You want to look up and see it for what it really is. And then you'll see where you're supposed to go. You'll see your direction. Okay? I feel like we have good energy in the audience tonight. I just want to say I'm very grateful for all of you. You've been sharing the show. I've been getting so much more feedback that people are being helped by a lot of our comments. And I want to say a lot of times people just being in the comments and talking amongst each other is really helping a lot of people. So it's really, really great. And believe me, we've all been at rock bottom. We've all been in great places and we're here for each other. Anita, I'm going to pull a card for you tonight as well. I know Anita also is, really trying to work through some challenges. So let's be there for each other. And, don't be afraid to post on my page or just send me a, oh, I'm buffering, I think. I don't know if you're there, Bobby. I lost my picture. I'm still got my internet, so I don't know what's going on, Bob.
You're fine.
Can you, because I have no screen. All right. So this is for Anita. Wow, Anita, it looks like you are holding the world up here. I feel like this card is a card of victory. This person also has a beautiful bindi on their forehead, if you can see that. And the bindi also represents higher thought. It is a symbol of the third eye. So this is really showing me that you should be, I hope you can see the card, Nina. This is really showing me that you should be really tapping into that third eye and your intuition, because you have the power to do whatever you want. Look at this. This person is just all the light around this figure and holding up the world, almost like an ascended master. So know that you're fully protected and you have the strength to see your way through and really create some beautiful things. And it's so funny. I don't know if you'll see it on camera, but here it almost looks like fingers and a peace sign. So there's beautiful energy coming to you, and all violet, which I work in violet light. So going to pick a card for Chris Colucci. He's on tonight. He knows he's a realtor as well. He knows the anxiety real estate provokes in us. Oh. Also, I want to tell you guys, when Mars goes into Leo, which is, I think, Wednesday, when Mars goes into Leo, you're going to see a lot of fire. You're going to see people are really going to get a little more aggressive. Don't be surprised, like if people go and dye their hair red and things like that. It'll be really cool to watch, but this is what happens. Okay, Chris, this is a beautiful card. If you can see it, Chris, you've got this person here and they've got a butterfly in the card. This is new beginnings. So whatever, if you're working on something or you're trying to do a new project, or if you have some hopes and wishes for something new, Chris, that is absolutely going to come your way. I feel like you might have had some challenges getting something together, but this is absolutely coming your way. As you can see, also all blue light around this person, and they're just kind of walking like they haven't a care in the world, and that butterfly is showing them all new energy. So definitely take that with you. That's a beautiful card. All right, who else have I got on here? I'm going to go up a little bit. I love you too, Liz. Liz knows some of the stuff I've had to go through. I know some of her stuff too. Gira, I'm going to give you a card. All right. It is true, right, Marilyn? We just have to not let things restrict us. Get out of the restriction and the restraint, guys. We want to really live our lives. And I will tell you, even though this week's going to be a little bit challenging for us, and also in the media, you're going to hear a lot of news come out this week. It's going to be a really busy news week, but it's going to be a very slow, energetic week. So watch for that. But in this energy, I will tell you, once we get through this week, towards the end of May and into June, the energy does get a lot lighter. All right. I'm going to pick a card for Gara and then a card for Natalie. Okay. Gara, they're telling me actually to go to the tarot for you. So I'm going to pick a tarot card. Okay. Oh, I got the Page of Swords. So Gara, this is a communication. This is Page of Swords is usually that you're going to get some kind of a communication from the internet or some kind of a electronic, email, something like that, text. It's not a spoken word. So if you've been waiting to hear about something, this actually will be indicative of that happening. Also, when the Page of Swords comes, the energy changes very quickly. So whatever this news or communication is, it changes your situation in a very dramatic and very quick way. All right. Next card is Natalie. Okay. Natalie, you got the Lovers card. So if you're in any kind of a relationship right now, it could be that you have interference there. Interference doesn't necessarily have to be a third party in the relationship. Interference can actually be a belief system we have, or an expectation. We're blocking the relationship, sometimes even ourselves. It could also mean that that person is hesitant. So if someone new has come into your life, because I feel like this is new, or a redo, like someone's coming back in, don't trust it fully until you have all the information, because I feel like there's some kind of an interference there for you. All right. The other thing I wanted to say is Mercury is out of retrograde as of yesterday, but because Pluto's in retrograde, we all will still have ghosts coming in from our past. Ghosts can be situations repeating, all kinds of things. Also, Venus is going to be going into, well, that's not going to happen for a while, so we don't have that. No, Mercury is going to be going into Gemini. And when that happens, we're going to be doing everything twice, but that's next week. So for this week, you just want to make sure that you are absolutely really looking for truth. Don't act. This is a week where you want to kind of hang back and not take action on things, because we've still got a lot of planets changing signs. This week, we've got, let me just look at my notes a minute. Yeah, this week we've got Jupiter going into Taurus. Mars is trining Neptune. We've got Pluto going squaring Jupiter. Mercury and Saturn are sextiling. The sun is going to enter Gemini. That's when we're going to have doubles. When the sun enters Gemini, we do everything twice. A lot of things come in pairs. And then Mars is going into Leo on the 9th. So we've got Jupiter going into Taurus. That happened today. We've got Mars going into Leo, towards the end of the week, and we've got the sun entering Gemini. So those three planets are all going to change. So the energy is really going to change this week. It's going to be a lot of communication, a lot of news coming in. Don't act on it until next week. All right. Just going to go down to my comments. We're almost done here. I'm going to say goodnight in a minute. Okay. And Christine says, okay, good. Oh, you're welcome, Chris. You're welcome, Natalie. That's okay, Kim. You can always rewatch. The show is always on YouTube afterwards. Hey, Cheryl. Okay. So that's really our show for tonight. I'm going to pick one card for all of us. I'm going to pick a card from the Tarot. Let's see what our energy is for this week. And I'm going to pick a card from my soul card deck. Our tarot card this week is the 9 of Pentacles, which means abundance. I think if we can really work on our patience this week, things are going to feel a little slow, but we're going to get a lot of news and a lot of information. I think if we can be patient enough not to act on it this week, abundance will be ours. And then our beautiful soul card, got to pick a card. Oh, where's my soul card? I'm trying to pick one. Okay. Ooh, look, our soul card this is definitely the sun going into Gemini, duality, this way or this way. Think about when you're at that intersection. Are you going to look at it from behind the wheel and white knuckle it and, oh, what am I going to do? Or are you going to look at it from above so you can clearly see your route? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I love to do the soul space. I love your feedback. Give me some more comments. Find me on Facebook on Zenkuda Soul Space or Georgia Rose, and also Zenkuda Official on Instagram. And don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel. This show will be there. And also, if you didn't get a card tonight, Tarot Tuesdays, tomorrow on my Zenkuda on YouTube, I pick cards for all zodiac signs. So Tarot Tuesday will be up by late tonight. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.